dickhead. They're a telepathic and xenophobic civilization.
Uh-oh. All right, well, let's get this started. Okay, let's hide that and bring me back in here. Hey, everybody. We're here to talk about Star Trek, the original series, Season 3, Episode 20, The Way to Eden. Are you excited to talk about this? I sure as heck am. This is maybe better known as the Space Hippie episode from 1969. One of the last things they ever made. So we're just getting started here on Live Long and Podcast. I'm Dave Mader, joined here with my brother Jeff, my father Ted Mader, and our friend Jody Simpson. Welcome, all of you.
Thank you.
So hey, we're happy to be here.
Well, I'm glad to have you. Yeah, it's quite lovely. So I said, Jeff, you got to be here for this one. I can't go into space hippie territory without your perspective. So let's talk about that. Dad, I don't know how many times you've watched this episode. I know it's not one of maybe your favorite episodes, but how did you feel about
not one of my favorites, but I liked it.
Yeah, you liked it? Okay.
It's a good episode.
What was the moral of the story?
The moral of the story was that the hippies were looking for Eden. They wanted to go live happily ever after in Eden.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a moral.
That's not a moral. That's a plot point.
That's a plot.
Yeah.
What was the moral? What was the lesson? What was the feeling we were supposed to feel about their movement, the circle or whatever it was? Peace, love.
I don't know.
Jeff, how do you feel about this take on the counterculture movement of the 1960s?
It's demeaning. That's what I think about it. It's clearly written from the perspective of a conservative mindset that, like, you know, all these free-flowing hippies, I don't know, they're not really working hard, but they actually are smart. They're not living up to their potential. There's a bunch of lines in the episode where, like, I forget who it's, Kirk or Spock. They're like, "Really? You met them at the academy? No way.
You met that thing at the academy."
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I was like, because they call them things and it's, and I go, what is exactly that they find? And they call them animals at one point. And I'm like, other than they don't wear shoes, and then Adam's outfit, maybe not my favorite. Jody, how do you feel about Adam's outfit? The guy, he's the main guitar player. He's not the cult leader, if you will. But
this is
that was Dr. Severin.
Dr.
It's
Severin.
visually repulsive.
This is a terrible way to finish up a series. This episode. This is obviously I agree completely with Jeff here. This was clearly written to be biased. This was a very political thing to do, and this was literally they must have just went, we got to make an episode. Let's scrape the bottom of the barrel. This is what we got, and this is terrible. This is no human should have to watch this episode.
Well, we did. So hey,
Jody, didn't you like Adam's uniform?
No, everything about this entire episode is terrible. The writing is terrible. The outfits are terrible. The little musicals that happen in it are absolutely god-awful.
But Colin, this is as close as Star Trek gets to having a musical episode.
And there's a reason for that, Dave. You shouldn't have musicals in Star Trek.
Are you being a Herbert?
What?
That's not me. That's Jeff.
It's
Jeff,
not me.
I've suffered enough.
It's not me.
Then who is it? Oh, it's Dad.
It's bad.
Oh, careful there.
Can we mute him?
I'm close.
I'm just giving you a little.
Oh no, it's okay. I can bring that in. Don't worry. It's not,
okay, Ted. If I want my balls to go up into my fucking throat, I'll watch this again. Thank you.
Yeah.
Dr. Severin will be released when we think he is medically.
And I love this one.
Stiff man putting my mind in jail, and the judge bang the gavel and say no bail. Gonna lick his hand and wag
the tail.
There was nothing
Herbert.
There was nothing about this episode that actually was distinct to anything. You could have easily taken this out of space and it would still be the same thing. Like, there's nothing that makes this in space. Really.
This episode is just so like we want to paint hippies as a bunch of freeloading slackers that don't fucking know what they're doing, and they're nothing like our crew who are a bunch of well-accomplished hierarchical society that follow orders and do things right the right way. They're shaved. They're not wearing ridiculous outfits. They don't have no purple hair. And, these guys are dangerous. They're going around nerve pinching people. Not that we don't nerve pinch people. We would never nerve pinch people, even though we do it 3 or 4 times.
Buck did it like 3 times in one episode.
Yeah, no, he does it like 4 times, like on par. Usually 4 times an episode.
Is it?
At least it's usually 2, I think. But if he doesn't do it 4 times,
for sure.
There's a quota. For sure. This episode, no, it's the hippies are doing it. The guy with the purple hair who looks absolutely ridiculous.
He's an alien, though. He's the only alien.
Yeah, but like let's cut through the bullshit here at what the metaphor for this episode is, right?
Yeah, what is it?
That's why Jeff needs to be on this episode.
What was the metaphor? What was the lesson they were trying to teach us?
You got to remember when this episode came out. This episode came out in 1969, right? Because it's
February of 1969. So this is I looked it up. It's before the Sharon Tate murder.
No. But like, all right, but it's probably filmed around the exact same time Woodstock is actually occurring.
Oh,
okay.
Probably.
Because Woodstock, I believe, happened in August of 68.
I think you're accurate.
So they probably wrote this script not long after that.
They probably wrote it while they were dropping shrooms at fucking Woodstock. This is terrible. This is a travesty to even put Star Trek's name on it.
It really...
Dr. Severin was a good character.
He was insane.
You gotta love Dr. Severin. He was insane. A little insanity goes a long way sometimes.
We got a comment here from ourselves, apparently, from Live Long and Podcast. I'm imagining this is from Jaemeel, because he can also comment his Live Long and Podcast. He says he would love a Star Trek musical episode, then have Anthony Rapp and Idina Menzel and all the cast of Rent. Wait, who's this comment from?
I agree that if they made Rent the Star Trek musical, it would be some sort of a weird mashup. I mean, I'd watch it. I love Rent.
I don't know. Did you see when Anthony Rapp and the cast of Discovery tried to do Seasons of Love from Rent?
Yeah, shouldn't be in Star Trek.
Why do we need a musical episode?
We don't.
Some people like musicals.
Now, if you could incorporate it, like it was barely tolerable in Voyager when the Doctor was singing opera.
God,
and that's in a dream.
Yeah, it was.
And I love the Doctor. He's probably the best thing of that episode or of that series.
And then they also have Data sing a lot too.
Yes.
Blue skies.
Right.
So I mean, they pick their spots. Star Trek does with music. This was not a good spot.
Did Spock play an instrument in this episode?
I don't believe so.
Yeah, no, because one of the guys goes into his quarters and he sees that thing on the wall. And then Spock plays it for a minute.
Yes, he does. He does.
Yeah, when he gets down his axe, man, and he jams with those hippies.
He does. He's playing a harp.
This was literally like you actually could predict when the next musical number was going to happen. Like that's how terrible this episode is. Like it wanted to be a musical, then it wanted to be a hippie thing, then it wanted to be both. It's a travesty. It's right up there with Sub Rosa. It should have never happened. It didn't need to happen.
Yeah, well, this is considered to be one of the worst, but maybe it's a special place in Star Trek history because it is one of the worst. So
it does. Of course it does.
Well,
it's a classic.
Ted with his rose-colored glasses there thinks everything Star Trek is amazing, and it's like
I think it was. You got to remember back in 1969, this was a hot topic.
Well, that's because all you guys had was shrooms and beer.
Take us back to 1969. You're about 11 years old. Talk to us about...
Yes, I remember the hippie movement in Halifax. There's all kinds of hippies.
And what did you think of them? What was the thought around them?
We didn't know who they really were because I was 11, so I really didn't know much to think about them. But I knew that they always were bare feet and kind of, they hung out in the parks and stuff. We didn't really
What did
keep
people
close to
say
or
about
anything,
them?
'cause-
What did you hear around, about them? Were they?
Well, I think it was probably not the best. They were looked upon as kind of
Hangers
just
on?
people who hung out. Yeah, they hung out,
So
Yeah.
smoked weed.
take
Oh,
take us
terrible.
back to young Ted Mater. What would Ted Mater, when watching this episode of these space hippies, think of hippies after this episode?
Same as I did now, and same as I did then. It didn't change my mind about them.
It didn't stop him from looking like a hippie about 5 years later.
Oh, okay.
That's true. Yeah,
Do we have any reference
but
photos?
I never
for
looked
that,
like.
just out of curiosity.
He could probably show you a
I
picture
might
faster
have.
than I could.
Is it possible?
I do. I do like. What?
Go ahead. No. I was just saying, is it possible that this is actually a positive depiction of sort of maybe the movement or the thought process behind the hippie counterculture movement? Because Spock is he says he's not a sympathizer, but he has a curiosity, and he does sort of subscribe a little bit to what they're selling, which is kind of like that the technology of the world has made the world too sterile, that they're not connected enough with nature, and that's sort of what their mission is, to like find a planet where they can connect back with nature.
Yeah,
But they're
trying to
also
find
shown
paradise.
with Dr. Severin, their version of Charles Manson, leading them through space into Romulan territory, no less, which doesn't seem
Space Manson and the Star Hippies. That's what they should have called this episode.
Yeah, it's because it's kind of like the Manson family, and so like it doesn't equate to me, because these hippies, like, they take over that room, they take over the ship, and they kind of know that they're not being pacifists. They're hurting these people that they've come.
They're being the aggressors, for sure.
They're being the aggressors, yeah. So they're shown to be sort of like smiling, happy. They might seem peaceful, they may seem harmless, but they are dangerous people.
That's right. That's exactly what they're doing. Yes.
So,
Right?
and
There's even that line where Adam says, "You know how to be friendly. Just be friendly."
And they're trying to
Most
intoxicate.
of the bad stuff though were from Severin, Dr. Severin.
No,
was
but
doing most of the bad stuff.
But they're trying to they're also, there's the subliminal message that they're sending here that like the girl is trying to corrupt Chekhov, and Chekhov, he's young, he's impressionable, he maybe he can be swayed by these hippies, these damn hippies.
The undertones of this episode are phenomenal.
Well, she's related to him.
This is obviously just a play at one side being biased towards another side, and they decided to make an episode out of this. Like, this was obviously taken from real events, as you mentioned, Jeff. This is clearly a way of chastising the hippie culture back then, I think.
Oh, it is.
Like, it doesn't paint them in a very positive picture.
I mean, it makes sense. It's written from a military perspective. Gene Roddenberry was in the military. He's going to have a certain bias toward people who are protesting the military, especially which
he didn't write this episode, though, did he?
I don't know who did write this episode.
I don't remember seeing the credits of him in it.
Here, let me see.
Because usually, whenever I see written by Gene Roddenberry, I instantly go
Arthur Henneman.
No, he did not do. Yeah, Arthur Heineman and DC Fontana wrote it as well.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
So not exactly new people to writing.
Yeah, are we all Herberts though? Are we just Herberts, or are we with it? Do we have it?
If anybody's with it, Dave, it's you.
Okay, just checking. Yeah. Okay.
Jeff and I think we're more outsiders, but you're definitely with it.
All right. Good. Okay. Just to make sure we don't miss anything, so we'll just go through the beat by beat. So this it starts with the Enterprise chasing the Aurora, which is a spaceship that's been stolen.
Which is a cool way to start the episode.
Cool way, but it's kind of like that Harry Mudd episode where they're chasing that ship, and it's kind of like the other episode where they're. No, it's like that episode with the.
Now that would have made this episode better. If Harry Mudd was in this episode and he was in charge of the space hippies, this would be amazing.
Yeah, and the Enterprise seems to be in charge of chasing ships that get stolen. That seems to be their main gigs.
They're Team America World Police. That's what they are.
Yeah. So they're chasing it. Yeah, it just reminded me of so many of these other ones. We've only watched 10 original series episodes as a podcast. And
Federation, fuck yeah!
It's not like they all start. And the ship is not responding. They're not. They're like they can hear us, but they're not answering, and they keep trying to get away. And then they try to go into Romulan territory. They're like, stop them! They're going to start a war. And they grab them with the tractor beam, but it doesn't matter. So they eventually.
What would the Romulans have done with those hippies?
No, you don't want to know.
Oh, I want to know.
Romulans are not friendly to prisoners.
That would have been a great episode.
Yeah, Romulans are not known for their treatment. They probably had to, of hippies. No, they would put up with none of this. The hippies or the Romulans all have to have one haircut. You think any of that long hair is going to be allowed? No,
Romulans are basically the North Koreans of the Star Trek world.
Yeah, they really are. Yeah.
And they get
by the way, we're now banned in North Korea.
Yeah, we insulted them, calling them Romulans.
We insulted them. We're not banned.
Yes. And then yes, they're the Romulans. And when they beam the 6 people over, Severin and his 5 followers. Like they're like, you're infringing on our rights. They do what do they call that? A sit down protest right in the transport.
This is where you automatically knew this episode was tits up bullshit. Like you saw that sit down and you're like, great. This is going to be a great episode.
They were transported against their will, even though they were about to blow up. But hey, whatever. And then it becomes clear that right away Chekhov's like, I know that voice. It's Irina, my old girlfriend from Starfleet Academy. As that's
why is he French?
What's the odds, by the way?
I'm working on my French Picard for tomorrow, guys. Come on,
but that's not Russian.
My Russian, my French and my Russian are not that far apart.
The radio plays tomorrow.
Yeah, it's tomorrow night.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna have to listen.
Radio plays tomorrow, which I'll plug at the end. But
right.
Just he hears it. It's his old friend from I guess they were looking for something like a love story, maybe a younger story to give to Chekhov and whatever. And then they all have to go to sick bay. They eventually convince them all to go to sick bay. Yes. Oh, yes. Spock does. Spock's not a Herbert. I am not Herbert, he tells them. They go, hey, he's not Herbert. He told us so. And he gets them on side.
One of the characters, one of the hippies, literally looks like a troll doll.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the purple-haired one?
Yeah, literally looks like a troll doll.
Right, because he's the son of some ambassador, and that's why Starfleet's ordered them.
Trolls were big back then. No,
yes.
They were actually for sale.
No,
right.
were they that old?
Yeah, they had the treasure trolls and all that.
My sister had all those back then.
I thought they were an 80s thing, so I guess that makes sense. But
I think they had a
they were in the
rejuvenation in the 80s.
Right.
Yeah,
I think the 60s was where they started. Yeah.
And the fact that they stole a ship and nearly went into enemy territory is kind of forgiven by the fact that one of the hippies is a son of an ambassador, so he has diplomatic immunity.
When they transport onto the ship, and then the guy goes, we are one, and then they show Kirk, and Kirk just goes, oh Jesus.
I had the exact same impression.
There's literally
I
moment.
saw that and I'm like, I'm with Kirk. It's time to just give up on this episode.
Yeah, but I agree. But
Shatner phoned in the entire thing on this episode.
I mean,
he didn't going on.
Yeah, he didn't have to act in the episode. He's just disgusted with what's going on.
He's like, there's no way I can top these guys. There's no way.
Yeah, it's just whatever. Did anybody recognize the guy who was playing Adam?
Yeah,
I recognize him, but I don't know why.
He's the guy from Austin Powers.
Yes.
Oh, the older guy that
older cop guy.
Austin Powers.
He was also in an episode of Deep Space Nine.
Oh, okay.
Have you seen Little Green Men?
Yes.
That's the general. He's like,
oh, okay.
Who says Quark reminds him of his brother-in-law who was a used car salesman? That's this guy.
Awesome.
So he went on to play
So that's why you had to see
Charles Napier.
Charles Napier, yes.
He would always play. He
always plays soldiers and cops.
Always a cop. In Silence of the Lambs, he's the cop that walks into Hannibal Lecter's cell when he kills the 2 cops at the end of the movie. Spoilers.
Yes.
Yeah, so he's in that scene too. He's the one that gets handcuffed to the bar in Silence of the Lambs. He's good actor.
Good actor.
Not his fault.
Is he good in this role? Does everyone think he's good in this role?
I don't blame anybody for their performances in this episode.
The episode is an abomination.
It isn't.
I mean, like to dissect anyone's performance.
If we had Kevin Millard here, I think we would be able to sum it up easier. This is an abomination. This is visually repulsive. This is everything.
When we get to the fun facts, we'll
Fun
explain.
facts are the only thing I think I'm going to enjoy about this entire podcast.
We'll explain
Yeah,
exactly.
give some fun facts. Give some fun facts.
Not yet. No. We got.
We did it at the end, but like, just real quick, most of the cast detested this episode. So,
I can't blame them.
Spoilers for fun facts, but we'll
All
get
right.
there.
Yeah.
Do you like the part where like Adam's playing all his music over the intercom and all the young people, the ship are like, we're kind of entranced by this.
This is brutal. This is brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how they get you. They hook you in with the music, and then you're in their cult, and then next thing you know, you're eating a piece of poison fruit.
Ted, honestly, I completely respect you, but what the fuck, dude? This is a terrible episode.
I was the one who asked for this one because
did you? Okay.
Yeah. So hey, don't
Yeah,
lay
all
ours.
right. I apologize,
No,
Ted. I thought this was all on you, but clearly,
I don't think I've ever really watched.
Clearly,
this
you didn't raise your son correctly. But anyway, that's fine.
I don't think I've ever watched it, start to finish.
Well, I'm gonna be brutally honest with you guys. I got to the 40-minute mark and I was done. I'm like, nope.
Wait.
No more.
So wait, what mark was that? Like you didn't get to the end?
I know the end, but I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't watch it again. I didn't watch the whole thing again. I'm like, I can't do this. I'm gonna kill myself.
Did anyone like the song where Adam says he has a clean bill of health?
No.
Excuse me, is...
Which one is that? Can you play that for me?
Arena? Say, tell me.
Yeah, it's right
why do you
here.
wear all those clothes?
Oh wait,
I don't think you have the right clip.
Boy!
there it is, right here.
She's getting her physical. Gonna crack my knuckles and jump
for joy.
I got a clean bill of health from Dr. McCall.
I'm gonna crack my knuckles and jump for joy. I got a clean bill of health.
No, from
This guy's
Dr.
like
McCoy.
discount. He's like discount. He's like discount. What is he? He's
a rapper, man.
He's discount like Riddler, but like shitty. Like from like the 60s like Batman.
Yeah.
He's like
Well,
the
like a
Riddler, but
knockoff
he's
version
shitty and
of
he
that?
sings all the time.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Drives me bananas. This is a terrible. Why are we even discussing this?
Right.
This is such a terrible episode.
And it turns out that and I thought it was interesting that the leader of this group, I keep calling them a cult, Dr. Severin. He ends up being a carrier of a deadly disease that he's immune to himself. He can't die of the disease,
but he's a carrier and he can give it to everybody else.
Right. But this is so I was like, well, what's that analogy? Is that, I guess, like, this is before AIDS and all that.
Well, no, this is the free love movement, right? This is
right. So it's kind of an allegory to syphilis, I suppose, and other
probably pretty much
STD.
every venereal disease.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of things they're doing in this episode. They're criticizing the music.
Hippies were very open on the sex.
Yeah, they're criticizing the music of the time as well. Like, it's not the old 50s like swing doo-wop kind of music where it's like, you know, the normal conservative music. Everything's like at that time. That's when the music was getting weird and getting good and getting cool. This is the time of
psychedelic.
Yeah, like the Beatles were writing like, you know, Sgt. Pepper and Magical Mystery Tour at this time. We had Jimi Hendrix was you know, coming into the scene. Like all these like great psychedelic music was happening at this time, and I'm guarantee you, whoever the guys who wrote this episode didn't like it, and they liked the old music and they wanted that, you know, things to go back that way. And this episode is trying to influence people's thought on culture and art, and because our heroes, you know, are not digging it, and because it's awful. It's purposely written to be awful.
Except Spock a little bit,
DJ
but not much.
Fontana.
Yeah. I think it was more this Arthur
DJ
Heinemann.
Fontana's a woman. Did you know that, Dave?
Yeah,
I definitely did. Yes, she was. She's
Did
dead.
you know DJ Fontana is a woman?
DC Fontana.
DC, yeah, DC. That
she's one of the greatest Star Trek writers.
Is a woman.
Yes, I knew.
Is that new to you, Ted?
I know she had a name, a code name.
Well, her name was her real first name was Dorothy.
Yeah.
No, I know, but she had a pen name. for this
Yeah,
episode.
other
She didn't
than
write
DC
under
Fontana?
I thought it was just DC
Yeah,
Fontana
she
was her
didn't write
pen
under
name.
DC Fontana.
Are you even sure she wrote this episode, Jeff? Because I don't even see her name on the credits.
On IMDb, it says she's part of the story, so she probably helped with the characters.
No, she has a
It said
pen
Michael
name.
Michael Richards and Arthur Heineman.
Arthur
That's what I
Heineman.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Michael Richards is her pen name. You know, because I don't know what if you're at Fast Facts, but this story was supposed to be about McCoy's daughter originally.
Oh yeah. DC Fontana. That was her pen name. Was Michael Richards, like Kramer.
Right.
Yeah,
Kramer.
she helped write the story.
Oh, okay.
Arthur Heineman wrote the
Originally, this story was supposed to be about McCoy's daughter, but it got all changed, and that's why she changed
that would have been better.
her name.
I bet you DeForest Kelly had something to do with that.
Well, do you know what the original story was?
No.
With his
Yeah,
daughter.
I was going to get to it in fun facts with Jeff, but if we want to,
Back
Yeah.
to Jeff.
I don't want to steal it from her.
Okay. We'll wait till the fun facts. But so we talked about the fact that Severin has this disease and he doesn't want to accept it and he doesn't want to do anything about it. And he blames everybody else. And but they put him in isolation. But his 5 followers,
Nice ears.
his 5 followers are causing a ruckus on the ship, and he needs to talk to them. They need Spock and Kirk to convince Severin to tell them to calm down. But he just uses that as an opportunity to sort of manipulate the situation. Spock promises it. He's like, "Hey, I'll help you find Eden. Hey, I'll help you settle it. But if you don't cooperate, you're going to become criminal, and then nothing's going to happen, right?" So they keep trying to like explain to these hippies why their logic is flawed, why they're sort of lost, and why they don't quite get it. It's a classic juvenile story, right? Because the generation that comes before always thinks it's wiser than the one that comes after. And the generation that comes after always thinks that they're smarter than the generation that came before. So, or understand it or cooler, whatever. That's just a natural part of humans. Right. Oh, hey, the dog is making an appearance. Oh. Yeah. So after that, Spock and oh yeah, we get this little conversation with Chekhov and Irina. I don't want to get into that.
They do it with Chekhov and Irina, and then they do it again with Sulu and another girl, and she's like, "You don't want to be here." It's like, "How do you know what I want?" And it's like, you were talking to the gayest man of all time.
Well, that's the whole thing. It's a debate. Is Sulu gay? George Takei is gay. That doesn't make Sulu gay.
Yeah,
So,
I mean,
but
Sulu's pretty gay.
George Takei has said on numerous occasions
he has
that
not said that.
Yes, he has. He has said that character is not gay.
He has. Fuck he has.
He has said that it's not gay.
Sulu's not gay. Sulu's not gay.
Yeah, no, I think he's gay though.
Oh, okay. Well,
okay.
I don't think he's
I don't know why it
playing him
matters,
straight.
but
I don't think
There's no proof that he's gay in the series.
I know.
Like he never was with another guy.
I know, but there's a scene in this episode specifically where a girl is hitting on him, telling, "Come to Eden with us. I'll have sex with you," and he's like, "Oh dear." So like,
do you think DC Fontana slipped that in as like a little bit of an in joke?
I don't know, but all I know is Sulu's usually barely in these episodes, and when he is, this is the only time I've ever seen where a girl was hitting on him and he completely rejects her. So,
fair enough.
Whereas if it were Kirk would be all over it. So
maybe Sulu just doesn't want crazy hippie bitches. Like, what's
maybe
wrong
not.
with that?
Maybe that's just not his style. We don't really know. We don't have enough background.
This is the same man who dons capes. Like,
he
dons capes and goes bare chested and causes some shit.
Well, he picked it up from Adam. Adam has sort of a cape.
He's a man's man, guys. I don't want to hear any talk about Sulu being not a man, because
why does Adam have an egg stuck to his cape as well?
He wasn't the only one. There's actually a couple of them that have that.
Yeah, right.
It's about rebirth.
Maybe they were going to go work at McDonald's after. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
They're promoting the Egg McMuffin.
What did you guys think of
to San Diego to do that?
What do you think of the scene where Adam visits Spock in his quarters? What Spock's trying to find Eden, all right, and he's like, "Hey man, let me see your Vulcan harp thing, his lute." And does Spock just seem completely annoyed with him the entire time?
Well, you kind of get that impression. but you don't really know because he doesn't like really show it because obviously he's Spock. But the main thing, I guess, is you kind of see it almost looks like they wanted to make it kind of like a mentoring kind of scene in a way,
right?
but
Because later on,
it doesn't
when
sit
Spock
well.
says, "No, if you follow this guy, it's going to lead to your doom," and it does. Ultimately, he dies, right?
Yeah.
From leading this guy. So I guess they were trying to like establish that here that these two had a bit of a connection.
I think they were trying, but it didn't come off very well.
No, because Spock seems like, leave me alone. I'm doing work.
And this isn't the first time in the series. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we've seen Spock play musical instruments before, so this isn't.
Yeah, he's played that lute a few times. Like there's a couple episodes where him and Uhura are jamming
out kind of thing. Yeah,
and I think that's like sort of the genesis of why they were given this relationship in the reboot. But it's a big stretch for me. And then Irina uses Chekhov to sort of like find out the secrets of the auxiliary room and what it does and how she can use that. So she manipulates her friend, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she uses him, right? The dumb ensign who's still he's carrying a torch for his old flame. That goes on forever. That's like a long scene. Wow. And then she comes back and reports, and she kind of shows.
I feel about the whole episode.
Yeah, and Adam says, "I'm working Spock," and then the other one who doesn't have a name is working Sulu, maybe not. And so they're all kind of manipulating the crew, and this is where they say, "Just be friendly. We're gonna get all the crew on our side," and that's when we're gonna turn on them or something.
All we learned is that hippies are terrorists. That's really all we really learned.
Right. They spend about 4 minutes doing two or three numbers here in this like conference room, which I won't go through.
Felt like forever.
But they use this basically as a distraction to spring Dr. Severin, right? Because the ambassador's son he's not doing nerve pinches, because when you do the Vulcan nerve pinch, it goes ding. It does like that sound effect, right? But this was like he would pinch them.
That's your arteries all just exploding.
Yeah. This guy would like pinch him, and then he did it twice, and both times the crewman goes, "Oh."
Everything about this episode just boils me.
Because like when you get Vulcan nerve pinch, you usually go, "Ah," but it's like no, it's like, "Ah," and then you like collapse, right? But with this, it was like, "Oh," and then it was, I don't know. I assume it was non-violent, other than whatever. And then they're able to take over the control room, and then they're able to steer the ship from the control room right into Romulan space, into the planet. And then that's where Severin, who is, I guess, an expert in jerry-rigging audio equipment, is able to turn the ship into a weapon.
I've never wanted Fun Facts with Jeff so much badly that I do right now.
Yeah.
This whole episode's just terrible.
I'm almost at the end. I
know. I'm just kidding.
They end at the planet. They finally the sound thing goes off. Everybody's disabled. They steal the shuttle, and then they eventually go after them. They never run into Romulans. They run into this Romulan territory and then kind of get in and out without incident. But
they should have ran into the Romulans. That would have been so much better.
But it turns out all the plant life is acid, even the grass. Severin burns his feet as soon as he tries to step on the planet.
Best part of the whole episode.
Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like there are plenty of nice planets in the galaxy for them to settle on, right?
Right.
Well, I think it's supposed to show that the hippies are wrong.
The hippies, yeah.
The hippies are wrong.
Misguided,
You should listen to them. And
they have a glorified
There's no paradise.
They have a glorified vision of paradise. They don't know they just think that if they live, carefree and say la vie, everything will turn out, but it won't. It'll turn out.
That's not how the world works.
It was the message to Ted and his friends to not become hippies.
Yeah,
that's what this was.
Didn't work.
Yeah.
Ted, don't be a hippie.
Don't be a hippie. Go to school.
Go to school and do well, Ted.
Go join the military.
The baby boomers.
Yeah.
Right. Well, yeah, because this was meant to say, like, no, we can't let the next generation be like these hippies. We got to stop this.
It's kind of funny because I was talking to my mother, and my mother is not a Star Trek fan at all. But I said, "Oh, I got to do this podcast," and she's like, "Oh yeah." She's like, "What are you watching?" And I said, "Oh, Star Trek," and she's like, "Oh yeah, what episode?" Right? Because my grandfather used to watch it. And I said, "Oh, it's the space hippie episode." She goes, "Oh," that's all she said to me. I'm like, "Yep, that about sums that up."
Yeah.
There's also a lot of metaphors to the Bible and Adam and Eve specifically, and eating the forbidden fruit. And
they hit you right over the head with it. He goes,
Yeah.
Adam died. Poison fruit.
Yeah.
Like
It's
Come on.
it's a real nutshell of a metaphor.
Who could have saw that coming?
I had to go, what's the the Bible. Okay, yeah, the Garden of Eden, and this is the way to Eden and all that, I guess. Yeah. There you go. Okay, I'm ready for fun facts with Jeff.
Yada yada. They all die. Whatever. All right.
Okay.
Well, they don't all die.
No,
But
they didn't all die.
No, only Severn dies,
They're
right?
going to do
Probably
another
Severn.
episode.
we need a
Severn
follow
runs off into a tree and bites the fruit that already killed Adam.
Okay. Fun facts.
Fun facts with Jeff.
Fun facts with Jeff.
right.
Wow. We have to come up with something.
Dude, I'm gonna try to make you a jingle this
All
weekend.
right, we need a jingle. All right. Thanks, man. All right. So the space hippie protest. Herbert is a gag referring to both Star Trek 4-time director Herb Wallerstein and a longtime executive in charge of production, Herbert F. Solow. Spock tells Kirk that the reference to Herbert is somewhat uncomplimentary, and that Herbert was a minor official notorious for his rigid and limited patterns of thought. So, literally, again, these people are stupid.
No surprise there.
Even though they admit in the episode that these people went to Starfleet Academy, so they're not stupid. Like, they're just...
Or at least Irina did. But they say that they're all smart people in their own fields.
Of course. Yeah, they can play music. Like, you have to be somewhat intelligent to play music. Watcher Koenig, the guy who plays Chekhov, was highly critical of the writing of The Way to Eden. In particular, he felt Chekhov was written as too authoritative, rigid, and by the book, a complete contrast of his usual and intended characterization.
Yeah. I didn't feel like this was a huge departure for Chekhov.
It wasn't huge. No,
He did. Charles Napier wrote some of the songs Adam sings. So the guy...
Oh, that'll do it.
That's
I think he was a better actor than a songwriter.
probably your first part.
Clearly.
Uhura does not appear in this episode. Thank God.
Yeah,
She
there's
was-
that. So there's some other lieutenant working her post in this episode.
Yeah, that was the first thing I noticed too. I was like, "Where's Uhura?"
And honestly,
She's
out
on
of
vacation.
everybody, she's the one that should have been in this episode. Let's be honest.
Yeah. If
She's got
anybody
the
who should be
dance
singing, it should have been her.
That's right.
Yeah.
But they're like, "No,
Clearly,
you
that
go.
was a missed opportunity there.
You go take 5, Nichelle Nichols. We got this." All right.
Again, they wasted her.
Lieutenant Palmer, who fills in, makes her second and final original series appearance after the Doomsday Machine.
Oh, she was in that.
She's-
Okay.
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
guessing. I'm
okay,
guessing Nichelle
yeah.
Nichols, had something to go do when they.
When I saw her, I'm like, yeah, she was in another episode, but I couldn't remember which one.
This very much like Move Along Home. Somebody from the main cast couldn't be there. Like lastly in Move Along Home, it was Cole Meany had to go make a movie, and I feel like it's the same thing here. Nichelle Nichols probably had to go do something, and
I don't think like this movie or you think this episode would have been better if Nichelle Nichols had been in it?
I would. The music would have been better,
The
probably.
music definitely would have been better. She wouldn't have allowed this shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe.
She would have been on set yelling at people.
In this episode, for the first time, Chekhov's first and middle names are spoken / revealed: Pavel and Drevich.
Dreyevich. Yes.
Skip Homar also starred in Star Trek Patterns of Force as Melicon. We already watched that episode, didn't we?
Yes.
Patterns of Force,
That's
Melicon.
right. Melicon, he was the Hitler.
Right.
That's right. So Severin was the same guy?
Yeah, same guy.
Oh, okay.
That
I
I
knew I
didn't know.
recognized him, his voice in particular.
Well,
His voice
he was wearing about a pound of makeup on his ears.
yes.
Yeah, that's
Pound on each ear is 2 pounds total.
Right.
yeah, easily.
Yeah. He had a few quarter pounders on those ears. James Doohan stated that this was his least favorite episode. That takes a lot.
That,
did
that
79
man
of them.
clearly knows what he's talking about.
And
He
he
did
knows
some-
what-
yeah, there were some stinkers, not just this one.
No. This episode was originally titled Joanna. The character of Irina was originally to be called Joanna McCoy, daughter of Dr. McCoy, and love interest for Captain Kirk, but that original script was rejected. The character of Joanna was planned to later appear in the 4th season, but Star Trek was canceled at the end of the 3rd. So
Right. Well, I don't think. Yeah, and I think DeForest Kelly talked about this that he did not like the idea of his character's daughter hooking up with Captain Kirk.
That sounds amazing. I would have loved to see that.
I love to see that in like the read through or like the he's like, what is this?
What is this? Yeah, because it would have caused some tension between McCoy and Kirk that we never really got in the show or the movies, really.
No. Would have been interesting to have it in the movie.
Would have been amazing.
Remember that time you banged my daughter or something?
Yeah, that would have been amazing. And especially if you brought it up later in the movies or something, like, yeah, I remember that time when I had fun with your daughter.
Right. For the scene in which Spock plays his Vulcan harp for Adam, the last time he plays the instrument on the series, the background music for Uhura's song from Star Trek Charlie X is recycled.
Oh.
Okay.
In some scenes, William Shatner can be seen to be wearing a corset.
In one scene, he's literally flipped. His like Starfleet emblem is on the wrong side of his shirt.
That's probably the photography, not him. Like,
Yeah, they probably just mirrored it because they wanted him on the other side of the scene or something.
They wanted him looking that way, and they shot it.
That happened a lot in 60s and 70s TV.
Yeah. They probably should have made the Star Trek logo symmetrical.
Yeah, it would have been easier to get away with it.
I just read here, according to James Doohan, this is the only episode that he didn't even like.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he knows, he has taste. That's why.
DC Fontana was so unhappy with this rewrite of her script, she asked for her name to be changed to Michael Richards, like pseudonym Michael Richards.
Yeah.
That's how bad she didn't like
That's right.
it.
Probably a good call on her part.
Because she probably wrote the original version with Joanna McCoy.
Probably, yeah.
And you would have loved that one, Jody.
I'm not totally sure I would, but
right.
A
it sounds
steamy
better than
sex
this.
scene with McCoy and Kirk.
Dr. Severin.
Well, it wasn't McCoy and Kirk. It was McCoy's daughter and
No,
Kirk.
Joanna McCoy.
Joanna McCoy.
Yeah, like if it was McCoy and Kirk, that would have been some TV for the 60s.
They might call your dad Bones. But
Never would have got on the air.
Like now that would happen, no problem. But back then, no.
Dr. Severin is
No.
based on Timothy Leary, a controversial psychiatrist who advocated for LSD as a
I know
therapy.
exactly who Timothy Leary
Everyone,
is.
I mean,
That's-
yeah, exactly. He's a
that's
guy.
pretty neat.
He's a man who did like over 10,000 hits of LSD and lived to be like 80 something or something.
Yeah, he really hung in there. I think 86 is when he died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nurse Chapel's collapse, as well as the collapse of other crew members in the corridor, is reused footage from Spock's brain. So they had to go back to the other worst episode in Star Trek to use
Fox
it.
brain.
This is making so much more sense now.
This is why the lights go out in the sickbay during that shot, while they are functioning normally everywhere else on the ship. So yeah, they didn't even want to shoot that. They were like, "Fuck this, we'll just use it for the other
Reusing footage
episode."
in Star Trek is nothing new. Let's be honest. There's a lot of episodes that regurgitate things.
In the original version of the episode, the spacecraft Aurora is a Tholian ship with AMT model kit nacelles added to it. It is shown in the preview trailer without the nacelles for the remastered version. A new design was created.
Okay, so I watched the remastered version. So
I only watched the remastered.
Yeah, I did as well because I have it in, so it's better. A hijacked Class F shuttlecraft was the often used Galileo, although in this adventure she bore the name Galileo 2.
for no good reason.
No good reason.
They had the decal left over.
Yeah. The quest for Eden would resurface in Star Trek V, The Final Frontier, 20 years later. Yeah, that takes it
And
down.
still garbage.
What did they not learn their lesson?
No,
Like that this is not where Star Trek stories need to go. Finding the Garden of Eden, finding
religious stuff in Star Trek doesn't belong.
yeah.
Like unless it's like Deep Space Nine did it kind of properly, but they acknowledge that they're aliens. You know, like they
Right, they acknowledged kind of like, well, the Bajorans believe this, but this is kind of what is really going on. But you know, whatever.
Right. Okay, so Charles Napier, Adam, returned to Star Trek 3 decades later as Rex Denning in Star Trek 269, Little Green Man, like I previously mentioned. A brief shot of the surface of Eden is reused footage of the lakeside from Star Trek Shore Leave. A shot of the surface of Gamma Triangle 6 from Star Trek The Apple is also recycled and used in the same scene. They were just like getting through this. This
is near the end, man. Like this is what there was only like 4 episodes that came after this, and then the show was canceled.
But they were over. They weren't canceled at this point, though.
No, they finished the
yet.
third season.
Not
They
yet,
didn't know they
no.
were canceled. They were
I think
prepping a 4th season.
They were lucky they got to the 3rd season at all. And they were almost canceled after 2, even though I don't agree with it. But I think they knew things were.
The 2nd season is, in my opinion, the strongest. But
Yes, I agree with you. I think that the 3rd season is probably the weakest, actually.
So you want to hear another thing that's really on the head? All right, so the homeland of Dr. Severin is known as Tiburon, which is the Spanish word for shark.
Yep.
That's right.
Oh, so is that a little bit
It's a yeah.
And there's a golf course in Florida called Tiburon, which is shark. Yeah, that's right.
Right. Okay, so the
That's
egg-shaped
That's
badges.
later.
The egg-shaped badges with what appears to be a sideways figure 8, which the hippies wear, is actually a representation of the symbol for infinity. The symbol is also called a luminescent.
But infinity it looks like a sideways 8. That looked like a fucking egg.
It looks like an egg.
It looks like an egg with a yolk in it.
The reason that the Galileo shuttlecraft wore the moniker Galileo 2, even though it has the same registration number as the Galileo 1, is because the original Galileo was destroyed in the Galileo.
Oh, okay. I was like, what? Why can they just be the Galileo? But it was blown up.
It was blown up in the Galileo 7.
Oh no.
2 Star Trek veterans, Charles Napier and Clint Howard, played a scene together in Austin Powers' International Man of Mystery.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. That's right. They're both in that scene. Yeah, but not.
Yeah.
That was Baylock. Remember Baylock, Dad?
Yes.
Well, the Baylock kid went on to be with Adam in a episode of, or in Austin Powers, the movie. Then they were making dick jokes.
Yeah, I wonder if Michael Myers was a fan of this episode. He probably thought it was ridiculous. 2 Star Trek. This was the only episode of Star Trek: The Original Series that contained music with lyrics. Other songs sung during the series were standards. Uhura sings "Charlie Is Our Darling" in Charlie X. Captain O'Reilly sings "I'll Take You Home Again" in Kathleen. In the Naked Time. The only other original song from the series to have lyrics was the title song, but they were never recorded for the series because they were written by Gene Roddenberry shortly before cancellation so that he could get half of the Alexander Courage's ongoing rights to the theme song.
Wow. There you go.
What a dick. Anyway.
And this, so just a quick, 2 other quick ones. While on Eden, after finding one of the hippies dead, Dr. McCoy confirms that the fruit he had eaten was poison. Spock remarks his name was Adam, clearly alluding to the biblical story of Adam and Eve having found woes in the Garden of Eden.
Oh no, we got it. We understood.
That one wasn't hard to get.
Dr. McCoy's handheld medical scanner was in reality not a salt shaker, but a scratch-built prop. Despite what certain non-canon manuals might state, the device did not actually have a medical display on its back end. When McCoy scans the poison fruit that killed Adam in close-up, the rear of the scanner can be seen for a few seconds and shows a black metal disc. Okay, well, that's it. That's all. Pretty much everybody hated this episode. It was terrible.
Didn't.
Well,
well, how much? Oh, wait, sorry. How much do you actually hate it? Let's find out.
I'm about to tell you.
All right, Jody, why don't you first? Okay, so just so we all level set, this is a 5.5 on IMDb. Not that we have to be influenced by that.
Yeah, everybody on IMDb is wrong. This is clearly a 2.
This is a 2. Now, keep in mind, they thought the Omega Glory is a 6.2. So,
so clearly they are stupid.
Dad?
Well, I would probably go on this one a little lower than normal. I usually give a good rating. I give it a 4.5.
All right.
You went down a half a point there, eh?
Okay. Yeah. And Jeff?
I'll give it a 2 with Jody. I mean, that's all it deserves. They filmed something and put it out on TV. That's all they really did.
The fact that they managed to find the film to put it in the camera, they get a 1 right away.
They get a 1. The fact that
the other point I'm giving them is for the Spock scene. That's about it.
The fact that the actors didn't walk off the set, I mean, is the only reason.
Hopefully, everybody got at least union pay. That's really all we can ask for.
I'm gonna go a little nicer. I'll give it a 3. But that's.
Wow! It's right at Omega Glory.
It's this big. Oh, I didn't do that intentionally, but that we are now tied. This is tied with Omega Glory among our average score.
But our combined average is actually lower.
Yes, and the combined average, and this is by far the worst episode we've watched, although Omega Glory comes close. So, yeah, all right. Well, hey, let's take that off and put that in the books. Dad, do you have an episode in mind for the next podcast?
I do. I do have a good episode that Jody will like, I think.
Oh, sure.
But I think
it's tough.
The Tholian Web.
Oh,
that's a good episode. That is a good episode.
Everyone knows the Tholian Web. All right, the Tholian Web from season 3 also. Okay.
Season 3, episode 9.
Yeah. Tholian Webb.
That's it. That's a great
That's
episode.
yeah.
That might be
I
one of
had
my
to bring
favorites.
Jody back. Jody was on
Honestly,
the edge of the.
that might be one of my favorite episodes.
I gotta read this review, guys. On
please.
IMDb. The title is "Hippies Take Over the Show and Spock Drops Acid," or so it seems. The episode opens up with a group of futuristic hippies being apprehended by the Enterprise after they stole a shuttlecraft and it went in search of Eden. This group is led by a guy who looks like he's gotten an ear transplant from an Indian elephant. He also happens to be nuts. Among his hippie followers is a girl who was once loved by Chekhov, as well as a guy who seems to be attracted to Spock, and vice versa. I'm not going there. Although Kirk is obviously too square to appreciate these free spirits, Spock gets a sudden injection of coolness and is amazingly at home with these vagabonds. Seeing Spock jamming with them using what looks like a bit of an electric auto harp is unintentionally hilarious, as is most of the episode. And when the hippies begin singing about Eden, yeah, brother, I find myself feeling kind of queasy. I am sure that dumb TV like this helped finally put a nail into the coffin of 60s idealism, as today's teens will only laugh until their sides hurt at the whole mess. This is my choice for the third worst Star Trek episode ever, right behind the one where Spock's losing his brain and the one about the Yangs and the comms.
That's the Mega Glory.
That person is pretty accurate. I felt like I had food poisoning when I watched this episode. It was terrible.
Yeah. I have only one thing I want to say. All right.
Also a terrible episode from a different series.
Better than this. I think it's better than this.
It makes me laugh. Oh, it's way better.
It's only better than this because of the fact of the cast.
Yes.
That's about the only thing that makes it better.
I don't know.
That's still a brutal episode.
I will always laugh at Alabrine guy. So, I mean, for that alone.
Yeah, but do you think that that's what they intended when they wrote that?
No. It's hilarious. Just like this. It's hilarious unintentionally. Like the guy.
No, Alabrine is hilarious. This is not hilarious. This is just brutal.
Right. Yeah, it's hard to watch.
Dude, I've watched this sober, I've watched this stoned, and the same thing happens. It's still a disappointment.
You just look at it and you go, oh.
Yeah. I had the same, once I saw Kirk go, I'm like, yeah, I'm with you, brother.
Yeah. Okay, any final thoughts on The Way to Eden before we sign off?
Yeah, I'm never watching this episode ever again in the history of my life.
We appreciate your service.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah. Dad, Jeff, all good?
Yeah.
No, let's put this one in the vault.
Yeah, we've done it. I think we all need to give ourselves a pat on the back.
We lived through it. I think if anything, there should be Purple Hearts for this.
Yes, there should be. Okay, when we got Tholian Webb next week, and we know that I think that will be enjoyable.
Great episode. Good
yeah,
episode.
So looking forward to that. Hey, make sure to subscribe, everybody. Subscribe. We're on Facebook, YouTube. We have Live Long and Podcast. We also have Trivial Debates, and we have Super Mater Brothers Podcasting. So that's kind of like that's the three main channels we're putting content out. Although we are most busiest on this channel.
The trifecta of Mater.
This. And so with the Live Long and Podcast, tomorrow night we are starting Star Trek Radio Theater. We are going to be
I can't wait to listen to this.
This is going to be fun.
I might even participate in an episode down the line.
Yeah. No, this is our first time we're doing this, so we're going to be doing the script from yesterday's Enterprise, which is an episode from season 3 of The Next Generation, one of the most beloved episodes, and I'm really looking forward to doing that. I'll be playing Picard and Wesley Crusher. Jeff's playing Riker and Geordi and Lieutenant.
Now, to be clear, so the audience understands what's going to happen here. You're going to literally do a read through of the script, but you're going to be in those characters, and you're going to kind of recreate the episode without the visual.
Yes, that's right. Okay. Exactly it. Yes, it's going to be theater of the mind.
Yeah, it's radio.
Right?
Yeah,
exactly. It's radio. But and I haven't.
Okay, but guys, we have younger generation that could be watching this, so we have to make sure they understand.
Right.
Yes. Yes. We're gonna. So instead of like showing people walk into the room, I'll say like so and so walk into the room, and then so I think you'll find it enjoyable. Some of the performances will be reimaginings, if you will, of some of the characters. So I know there is some artistic liberty at play here on the performers.
Only with you, I'm sure. But anyway.
Oh yeah. Well, and then we also have my wife Jane is going to be playing Guinan and Rachel Garrett and Data, and then Ashley Millard is going to be playing.
So you got the girls doing the girls now because
we do this time. We do. We
did it by random,
but we didn't plan it like that. But it worked out.
Yeah, we did it by random.
Great.
Yeah.
I look forward to it.
Yes. No, it's gonna be great. And then Saturday we're kind of finishing up Star Trek movie reviews. We're going to be doing Star Trek Into Darkness on Saturday, and then we only have Star Trek Beyond after that, and then we're going to be done
watching actually.
And then Trivial. I mentioned Trivial Debates on June 28th. We'll be having our next installment of Trivial Debates on a Sunday afternoon, and Chris Seymour will be hosting that one. So
that'll be a shit show.
Check in for that. I think it's Jody, Kevin, and Jane are the competitors for that. So that's gonna be.
I'm not in that episode.
Oh no, is it Jeff? There must be Jeff, Kevin, and Jane. Who it is? So.
Am I? Yeah. I haven't got any questions.
Well, Chris is the host. So.
Oh well, that's why you didn't get any questions.
All right, everybody. Well, I'm going to sign off, and thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you for the next one. The Long Podcast. Bye.
See ya.
Okay.